The European continent, from which the famous Linux system originated, and from which the World Wide Web also emerged, and from which the HTML system came, and which originally invented the computer, and was the cradle of the Industrial Revolution in the past, it's illogical that today it would be lagging behind in technology, isn't it? Yes, but unfortunately, this is the reality within Europe. For example, if we look at the list of the 20 most visited websites in the world, we'll find that most of them are American websites, except for just 3 or 4 from Russia, Korea, and possibly China, while there isn't a single European website on this list. The irony is that these companies have become a part of our daily lives. For example, when searching, we turn to Google, and for navigation, we use Google Maps. And for communication, we have the famous WhatsApp, and even for shopping, we go to Amazon. So we are dealing daily with a world that is almost entirely outside of Europe. But the question is, where does Europe stand in all of this? And why has Europe fallen behind technologically? The continent that helped shape the world we live in today, how did it fall so far behind in the digital field? I will explain all of that to you. But before I start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Let's begin the story from the very beginning. We're talking about a continent that includes 27 countries and is home to nearly 450 million people. And yet, not a single European company has reached the size of companies like Apple, Google, Microsoft, or even the Chinese company Tencent. If we take a look, for example, we find that Germany, like other European Union countries, tried to catch up with the technological advancements coming from America, but the situation only got worse. To explain the reasons behind the absence of a strong technology industry in Europe, let's go back to what Professor of Law at Georgetown University, Chander, wrote in his important 2013 research paper, How Did Law Create Silicon Valley? He explained that the secret to Silicon Valley's success lay in the legal amendments enacted in America in the 1990s, which provided a safe and robust environment for startups without significant legal risks, thereby reducing burdens and helping these companies to grow. One of the most important of these laws was Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which protected websites from liability for content posted by users, which allowed companies to emerge and grow significantly. Copyright laws such as the DMCA, which provided clear protection and facilitated content management. Also, in terms of standard of living, we find that Europe is in a very advanced position. High quality education, very excellent transportation systems, increasing focus on renewable energy. 24% of electricity comes from clean sources. Denmark is ranked first in the world in this regard, and prestigious universities such as Oxford, Cambridge, the Sorbonne, and Munich. But the problem is that outstanding minds migrate to the United States, where the environment is more attractive. A practical example, when Uber started in Paris in 2011 and tried to expand to other European Union countries. Here, it faced strong resistance. Countries like Hungary and Bulgaria banned it completely. And its services were shut down in Germany, France, and Italy on the grounds of employing unlicensed drivers. The situation escalated to protests and acts of violence. In the end, the European Court ruled that any country has the right to ban the app without consulting the European Union. As a result, small startups cannot bear these legal restrictions and exorbitant costs, so they collapse before they even begin. Professor Anu Bradford from Columbia University explained that the problem is not just European legislation, but there are deeper reasons for this issue and for Europe's lag in technology. For example, there is cultural and linguistic diversity. This hinders the expansion of companies within Europe due to differences in languages, cultures, and local laws. We also find that financial markets are weaker. In America, there are bolder investors, pension funds, and universities that fund innovation, which is rare in Europe. Bankruptcy laws are also stricter than in America, which reduces people's willingness to take risks. Immigration laws also restrict the entry of talent, while America relies primarily on immigrants who have founded most of the major corporations. And in numbers, we find that European startups receive 54% less funding compared to their American counterparts. Also, less than 0.5% of European companies succeed in expanding globally. For example, in 2024 alone, startups in America and Canada raised $184 billion, which is 3 times what the entire European Union raised. And over the past 10 years, America has invested 0.7% of its GDP in venture capital, while in Europe it did not exceed just 0.2%. Another major weakness in Europe is, firstly, excessive bureaucracy and overregulation. Secondly, the absence of major global technology companies. Thirdly, a weak environment for risk investment. Fourthly, a focus on oversight and penalties instead of innovation. Fifthly, brain drain and a shortage of talent. Sixthly, failure in artificial intelligence and deep technology. Seventh, a culture of caution instead of boldness. In summary, the technology industry in Europe is facing a real crisis, a crisis that threatens its economic future. And if these problems are not addressed seriously, the European economy will remain far behind its American and Chinese counterparts. And this is in a field that is the most important for the future of humanity. In the end, don't forget to support us by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Have a good evening.